of political parties. GSK Changuku says no. Ngutu Eric, not all they represent individual interests. And a couple of no's here from Alvin Alvo, Ones Kamudhaveni and Martin saying no, not at all. That is all you're saying. I'll be taking a look at also on Twitter in the next hour between 9 and 10. What you're saying, keep talking to us. Do you think that political parties really serve your interests as a Kenya, the whole formation of it? While you can really have a whole political party, but also go the whole independent way. But do you feel like these political parties form your interest and have your interests at heart? Now from the whole matters, your feedback, we get into the conversation this particular hour from 8 a.m. all the way to about 9 a.m. on matters SMEs and how you can really better them.
Well, Stanley, thank you for that. And of course, time now to have that conversation on digitizing small and medium enterprises as well as government services. And it's something that we've been seeing mostly with the current regime through the digitization of different government services, including eCitizen, which is a home to more than 6,000 digital services. And to have that conversation this morning, I am joined by, on my right hand there, Isaac Abudha, the product manager, public sector Safaricom Business. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
I also do have Victor Okello, who is the technical lead at Tech Edge Africa. And perhaps let me just start with you. And when you talk matters digitization, when you would ask, what is it really what is digitizing government services or even SMEs?
Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for having me. To your question, it's about transformation, really. It's about taking advantage of the opportunity that is present, presented by technology, to transform processes and basically your modus operandi to be able to achieve things like cost efficiencies, gains in turnaround times, basically being able to take the tools that are available, presented by technology today, to take you from where you are to where you need to be as an organization, be it a business, be it government in this case, an individual even. Yeah, the phones we use, those are basically technology accelerators to help us be more efficient and do much more than we would without them.
Great, thank you. And Isaac, even as I come to you, Safaricom has been on the forefront of partnering with counties, government entities to digitize services and even small and medium enterprises. What then is the role of digitization in these small businesses as well as government services in this fast-paced digital world?
Yeah, thank you. So government digitization, essentially, like my colleague mentioned, it's a process towards transforming, and that's what we say, digital transformation. We start first by digitizing processes, digitizing what would otherwise be very manual or analog processes that then would then bring efficiency. And with that efficiency, you start to see the transformation of different services. So with government, and especially with county governments, we see a lot of opportunity there. One, because there's still quite a number of processes, as you would maybe attest, in the county governments and even in government that are largely manual. But I think we must applaud this administration because there's been a very concerted effort towards digitizing many processes. So our effort we see is that we can support the government and we can support county governments in digital transformation. And it's a journey. We start from the very basic. We digitize small processes that are otherwise analog, and that goes and then becomes what we call digitalization, processes that are completely automated. And then eventually we can then enhance service delivery for the citizens by bringing in digital solutions that support critical functions. Say, for example, in healthcare, where there is, of course, certain challenges. Digitization or digital transformation then would improve service delivery in healthcare, which would lead to a lot of value for the citizens. So that is really our ambition and our drive towards supporting government and counties in that area. Yeah.
And from a tech perspective, Victor, how do people then go about this process?
Okay, that's a good question, because it can be bewildering, yeah? The range of solutions out there is myriad, so it can be quite intimidating, just getting to know where to start, for example. I would say start with the vision, so whether it's, whichever organization, large or small, start with a vision of where you want to be. Say, for example, you are doing cake business, for example. You want an example of a vision you could create is, I have this online platform. The moment someone makes an order, I want the chef to know immediately, and the rider to also be notified that in 3-4 hours time, you have a cake to deliver to this particular place location. Yeah, so that could be just have an idea of where you want your organization to be eventually. So once you have that, and I would encourage people to also basically involve other team members, because I like the story of the elephant. It's a well-known story of the elephant and the 6 blind men, where 6 blind men are asked to describe an elephant, and once one touches the trunk, says, you know, it's like a thick water hose. Another touches the leg and says an elephant is like a tree. Another touches the tummy, says an elephant is like a rough wall, etc. And so the question is, who among them was right and who among them was wrong? Of course, all of them were partly right and partly wrong, right? And how do you get the whole picture of an elephant? It's by putting all these perspectives together. So ask your messenger, how can we do things better? Ask your HR, your finance, your IT, how can we make this better? Come with a collective vision, because that also brings in buy-in, yeah? Because commitment comes from involvement. When you involve someone in something, they're more committed to it. So build that vision together, and then now ask yourself, from this vision, this is where we are, this is where we want to go. What technologies will get us from here to there?
Yes.
Yeah, so rather than going to the technologies saying, what can XYZ solution do for us, start with the end in mind, and then work backwards. Yeah, that's how I would propose the approach be taken.
Okay, great. And maybe Isaac, talk to us about how My County app and also e-citizen services are helping streamline government services.
Yeah, one, I think My County app is a recent innovation that Safaricom, in conjunction with the counties, brought into place. And the idea was, look at it from both fronts, citizens and the county governments. One is that citizens want to access county services, and government wants to make services available to citizens. And this is what My County app then comes to do, that now you have an application that gives a common and a consistent experience to consumers and to citizens. And this then enables the citizens to be able to have a very efficient way to access government services. And then government services, and in this case the county services, can then be published in a more standardized approach. So irrespective of the county that you are in, you can be able to access, for example, payment services with a very consistent experience, as opposed to if all this is being done independently. So the initiative was to bring one common application, which is what we call the My County app, for all counties to come on board, and for citizens to be able to use one application for all county services. And so this is a gradual process. We've brought a couple of counties on board already, and we've got very good feedback. And the idea is that the way you transition between Nairobi and perhaps to another county, from a point of experience, it should be the same. And then cities and the counties can then focus on what services do they bring on board on that application, so that citizens can keep accessing additional services as the county offers. So we see it as a good innovation that covers not only the counties but also the citizens, to have a good experience, to appreciate what services are out there in the counties, and then continue to engage with counties. So one of the aspects is citizen engagement. Engage with the counties, let them know what you want them to do in a consistent manner. So that's what My County app is all about.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And even as we have some of these apps, like My County app, it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
But how then do you create awareness to the people in order to know there's a place that I can access services from, or get to know what happens in different counties? Because we can have them, but again, we lose the whole meaning of it if people are not aware or are not tech savvy enough to even access these services.
Yeah, and I think that's what we were trying to run away from, because you will see that different innovations and different counties already had made efforts towards bringing that kind of capability. But then you would not know what is happening, because each county then would have to sort of publicize what they have so that it's accessible. But with a common application, common an experience, and of course with the recent efforts that we have put in to try and get the citizens to be aware of this application, we see that the uptake will be much quicker as opposed to a more fragmented approach. Yeah.
Okay, great. And maybe Victor, from your organization, do talk to us about some of the organizations that you've partnered with, and how has it been like? Is it working?
Yeah, sure. We've worked with quite a few organizations across various industries for quite a number of years. Among them, Zamara, who have been are in the actuarial and insurance space, as well as pensions administration. They've been able to really adapt and switch. I remember during COVID, and when they needed to basically social distance and everything, I think they just sent out a memo, and in a week's time they started working remotely. So those are some of the capabilities that are there. We've worked with EABL to digitize some of their staff. We've worked with Java House Africa. We've worked with Elgon Kenya. They are in the agricultural space. So quite a few organizations across the board, and the idea is to just bring them to a point where they can leverage what is available in terms of technology to principally achieve three things. Number one is to cut costs where applicable. Number two is to achieve efficiency gains. If you could do 5 things in 8 hours, now you're able to do 10 things in 6 hours. And also just be able to survive in the 21st century, because I like what Dale Johnson, one of the foremost business thinkers of the day today, says that if the rate of external change is faster than the rate of internal change, then you're going out of business. So basically look around you. What is the transformation that's happening? If you as an individual or as an organization are not transforming as fast or faster than your environment, then it's only a matter of time and you'll be out. So it's been quite one of the, good achievements and things of note that we've been able to work with these organizations to, for example, in a moment, just drop from, be able to work remotely at the drop of a hat. Or there's an organization, Waika Re, they're a reinsurance company, and their revenues compared to their printing costs, for example, are unbelievable. So those are some of the things that we've been able to achieve with organizations across Africa, Zimbabwe, Djibouti, Nigeria, and quite a few.
Amazing, good stuff. And perhaps what are some of the benefits of now these small and medium enterprises or even government services to digitize their services?
Yeah, I think number one is efficiency. Yeah, in this day and age, the expectation is service delivery should not take 3-4 days like we would otherwise be told years back. It will take you 2 weeks before you would get your driving license. It will take you, this kind of... So efficiency brings that speed. You're able to get services at the click of a button. By the time you're making your payment, you have your permits or whatever that would be. So number one is efficiency. Number two, of course, is the cost-saving element.
Yes.
The moment you bring in digital services, you cut a lot of inefficiencies, which then what compound the cost of the service. So I see these two being the main drivers of, or the main benefits that an organization would get from digitizing. Yeah.
Maybe Victor, you can chime into that as well.
Yeah, sure. I think I totally agree with Isaac. It's an issue of what basically optimization. It becomes an optimization problem.
Yes.
Where based on the resources I have, especially with the macroeconomic environment today,
Yes.
looking at both the global and the local economy. There's need to really optimize on the resources available. So it's an issue of what can I do with what I have? Is there a better way to do the things I'm doing? And at the end of it, really, that is the aim. It's about squeezing the most out of what you have, or what is possible to have at your disposal.
Maybe let's talk about the challenges now these enterprises could face when it comes to digitizing, not only when trying to transition and start, but also in recent weeks we've seen the issue of cyber attacks on some of these platforms. So talk to me about some of the challenges that these enterprises face, and maybe we'll look at ways to counter them.
Okay, sure. So the first, I think, probably the biggest issue enterprises, especially SMEs, would face is the cost of the transformation. And what I would encourage is that it's possible to do a lot with a little. Start looking around, just see what is available around you. What can you do with Excel, for a start? What can you do with your folders? So that's one of the challenges, the cost element. Like you mentioned cyber security. It's a massive issue right now. It's probably the main issue in information technology, and basic but powerful tools like multi-factor authentication, just getting your OTP on your phone. Those are some of the things that can come in and solve that. Another challenge is stakeholder management, because in every setup there are people who are used to doing things in a certain way.
Yes.
So that's one of the challenges, just getting the people from this point to that point, getting them to accept that this change is not just necessary but beneficial as well. So that transformation, that change of mindset can also be quite something. And then there's always need for buy-in from the top. So if you're running an organization, champion the change, and across the board, and I'm sure Isaac would agree, if there is one of the main reasons probably a digital transformation project would fail is because it's not supported by senior management or from the very top. But anything that is sponsored by the top usually generally would find success. So that's also something to look at.
Okay, great. And Isaac, I'd like to hear your views on that, and specifically even speaking to Safaricom, the direct.
Yeah, so challenges, I think there are myriad of them. But what I've noticed is that with a lot of customers, sometimes the digital transformation is not well planned out. We in Safaricom have a methodology that we've tried to use to guide customers on that digital transformation journey. If you think about digital transformation, where do you start and where do you say you have reached your epitome? One, you start first by connecting services, making services accessible. And then number two, you protect them. And then you start to enable certain services. That's number three, enabling, and then transformation becomes the last thing. That's what you achieve eventually. Now, if you look at that approach, then it means you're connecting services to the internet, you're connecting people to the internet so that they can access some of these digital services. Number two is you have to protect before you even start to enable service delivery. So security has to be there by design. If you skip that process, and it tends to happen a lot, you connect and then you move ahead and start enabling and transforming services. And when you get hit, you realize that it's actually a very basic flaw that was in the system. So security by design is what we do, and we emphasize a lot in Safaricom, because as customers start to go online and digitize, you know, the security becomes the biggest risk. In terms of success in achieving that digital transformation, I think that there needs to be a plan from the onset, and organizations need to try and focus time on that to try and understand the bigger picture of it. Sometimes it tends to be point solutions that you hope will eventually come together and become a digital transformation, which doesn't happen. Incompatibility issues and the like. So some sort of consultancy services that comes at the onset that helps you to conceptualize what problem you're addressing and what is really required, and then face it out. Don't try and bite too much, because then, of course, it calls for more resources, calls for a lot more time, and take your steps. So that's more or less the approach. And I think with customers that have had successes in digital transformation, we can highlight a few. Those they will attest is really what is a game changer. You know, have a clear picture of the end game, take it a step at a time, have security by design, so that as you're moving into this new phase, you're well covered. And
from your perspective, what are some of the factors that show that a successful implementation of digitizing a service or even a business?
So from business, they will look at it from a point of impact. What impact have we achieved? You will find that very basic innovation from a point of digital would result in a very high impact to the business. So as you're assessing priorities, then look at also the impact. And there are some initial quick gains which then give momentum and drive the momentum towards full digitization. So the exercise, the pre-work that goes before you do the digital transformation is very important. To establish what a certain initiative, what is the outcome, what is the impact that the business will be able to see from it. There are some initiatives that would cost you a fortune, and quite honestly, the impact is debatable. And you know, the business people will look at it from that point, the business owners. So that's really the objective, that you try and achieve as much impact and with minimal effort, and then continue on and build up the stack.
Okay, I'll let you also give us a take of view from that question.
I think that's a really good question, and I agree with Isaac. It's about the results. At the end of the day, how is our bottom line affected in terms of how well we are doing things? Usually, I measure the transformation, through just a few metrics. For example, if you have to go to the office, and you're not going to meet a client, if you have to go to the office and it's not to meet a client, then there's a problem. You should be able to work from wherever you are, not just from home, from wherever you are around the world, without skipping a bit. When there's mandamano, you need to be able to work from wherever you are. So that's one metric I would say is for me. I usually take a look and ask, are you able to, at the drop of a hat, work from anywhere? If you're not, then there is a challenge. Another thing is, when you sit down to look for information, if you cannot find whatever information you're looking for, that invoice from 2 weeks ago, 3 months ago, if you cannot find it within 5 minutes, there's a problem. Ideally less than a minute, but if you have to take hours, 3 hours, trying to go to the archives to find out that transaction and the PO and everything, already there's a problem there. So basically it's about how quickly can you do things and how freely can you do things. If you do not have freedom, latitude, spatially, if you do not have, if you're not able to get your information at your fingertips within the shortest time possible, then there's a problem.
Okay, great. And let's take a short commercial break. We'll be back with more, and of course keep interacting with us at TV47 News on X and previously Twitter, and at TV47 Kenya on Facebook. The hashtag is Morning Cafe. thank you for keeping it Morning Cafe. And of course, the conversation that we're having this morning is concerning digitizing small and medium enterprises as well as government services. And it's something that we are seeing not only in businesses, even as we speak right now, even in the media landscape. There's a lot of social media.
Anyone is ready. Yeah. I think even the foremost thought leaders and technology enthusiasts and pioneers and leaders, I don't think anyone is quite ready. It's more of adapting, right? And seeing, okay, the change that is happening is both an opportunity and a threat.
Yes.
How do I make this an opportunity for my organization, for myself, rather than a threat? During the break, Isaac just said something very interesting. He said that on a personal level, we are already digital. Yeah. So it's just our minds are already there, right? It's just that because of where we are coming from, it might not. We fear, expanding those possibilities to other areas. So it's an issue of. It's not an issue of readiness. It's an issue of risk and opportunity. Coming as a package and then choosing to make this an opportunity rather than it being a risk to you, to your organization.
And it's interesting to mention that at a personal level we are ready, but for example, when you tell someone we are now moving to Huduma number, for instance, and moving from the old way of using the IDs to now this digital card, it's so hard for people to take in that. So how then do you change the mindset of these consumers?
I think it is more around showing the benefit, because people appreciate from a consumer level, the benefit is very clear. You know what benefits you stand to gain, and you will find that as consumers, for example, if we want to have an enriched communication, you take your phone and you call someone on video, and you have an enriched communication.
Yes.
But when it comes to business and you try and tell a customer that you can use a video conference tool to have your meeting, you don't have to go all the way to Mombasa.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now it starts to look like something very complicated.
Yes.
So I think the benefit is what needs to be painted out more, that look, we are doing this because of this and this and this. And then also, of course, we have the norms that we are so used to that we want to maintain, either because it advantages us on certain areas, and that becomes and forms a resistance towards moving into digital platforms.
Yes.
But by and large, it's not a difficult move if you think about it, because you're anyway still doing it. Yeah. And so I think from a point of organizations and businesses is to really bring out very clearly to especially staff what is the benefit of us going digital. If we don't do it, then what are the perils? We will lose out to competition. We will do this. And then all of a sudden there's a sense of urgency and people cooperate. So also a bit of culture comes into play when it comes to digital adoption. Yeah.
Perhaps let's even talk about the most recent one, even the launch of the Hustler Fund, Phase 1 and Phase 2. As we speak right now, people have defaulted up to 3 billion shillings in the last 9 months. How then can business, how do we expect businesses to be ready to move to digital? Well, we see now some challenges like this. Yeah,
I think, you see, technology is an enabler. It's enabling a process that has already been defined. It's bringing in those efficiencies and a digital rail that then you can be able to actuate what the process it is that you have. I think in the case of businesses, when they have thought about the product that they want to take out to market, for example, it's a lending product. The aspects of risk and defaults are not really technical or digital aspects. They're really the business process informing the digitization.
Yes.
So all these things you will find will already have been figured out, the risks and mitigations to it. So the digital is not really the issue. It's sometimes we tend to have a mindset that digital will solve all the issues. Quite honestly, it does in certain cases where you will be able to probably recover funds quicker if you're using a digital tool as opposed to someone who walked in and took money.
Yes.
because you can be able to know where they are. You can maybe take some effort towards collection. But again, it is largely informed by the business process that informs the digital solution. Yeah.
Okay, great. And from a tech perspective, Victor, sorry, even as we try to transition, you still find the organizations where people are not tech savvy as much. Mostly, even for most government services, you still find people at Teleposta are still torn into those old traditional ways of operating. How then do you deal with a challenge like this?
Okay, yeah, thanks for that. So it's first of all, I think the best approach is to break it down into the various stakeholders. Yeah, you have internal staff, you have clients,
Yes.
you have third party, maybe vendors and all that. Now start addressing them by one, because the resistance to that change or the challenges they are facing are different. If it's internal staff, they have genuine fears about what do I have? Do I have to learn a new skill? How tough will it be to learn? So you have to make sure that in your design, right, or the solution design, the learning curve is very limited. It's not steep. So you have to make sure that the staff, internal staff, are comfortable with adopting the new technology. Invite them to be part of the design process. Like I mentioned, there's no commitment without involvement. So one of the best ways to get buy-in internally is to involve everyone in the process and design the solution so that it's as easy to use as possible. TikTok and all this WhatsApp, no one went training people how to use them. But everyone uses them. Why? Because they are very easy to use, and that is from a design standpoint. So that is as far as internal staff or stakeholders are concerned. There are external stakeholders like clients, for example, who maybe you are in distribution and some of your clients are using feature phones.
Yes.
Can you have your solutions, have USSD capabilities so that even someone without a smartphone can be able to type star something hash and be able to access the services? Because even the most advanced solutions can still interact and interplay with the most rudimentary at present. So looking, I think, in short, look at your stakeholders.
Yes.
Don't come up with a ballpark, solution. Each stakeholder has a different concern. Address those concerns, make the solution as easy to use as possible, and then be inclusive. Yeah.
Great. And Safaricom, as it's like the mother of digitization as of the moment. So how then do you ensure that these digital products are aligned to the evolving needs of the government bodies as well as businesses?
Yeah, so I think he's mentioned something very important, and it's good you reminded me about that, the USSD and some of the simplistic technologies that can be used to drive digital. So maybe before I come to your question, is that on the simplicity, we still have a majority of Kenyans who are using feature phones, or what we would otherwise call the Mulika-Mwizi phones. And those people still need digital. So one of the things we have done is to weave in the simplistic technology based on SMS and USSD into majority of our products, so that it's just not a reserve of the digital solutions.
Yes.
But even as we do that,
Yes.
we've had a campaign running on Mwelekeo on the internet and trying to drive the affordable smartphones,
Yes.
so that people move into smartphone technology. It offers a lot more features. I think the SMS and USSD, it's a bit limited. It still does the job, and I'll give you an example where currently we are supporting the national government to distribute fertilizer. It's a system that's purely based on SMS and USSD.
Yes.
Yeah, where people receive a message and they're able to redeem a voucher and get the product. But even with that appreciation, there's still a need to drive more and more people into digital inclusivity and bringing them into smartphones, and I think there's quite some concerted effort on trying to get affordable smartphones. And then coming back to then how do we make sure that the digital solutions we have address the needs of the people? Again, it comes back to who are you building this product for? Yeah, so the end user that we have identified his profile is in this is the profile of that end user, we know then how to tailor the product to accommodate them.
Yes.
So, for example, the feature phone, smartphone, and all that capabilities. So, stakeholder management and appreciation of who you're building the product for is very important. When it's normally something that we take into consideration when we build products. Like right now, we talked about My County app. It's also backed up by USSD and SMS, because we appreciate a vast part of this country still requires that kind of technology to make payments, to report on issues. Yeah, so that's one of the key items we look at. Yeah.
Awesome. And do you think in any way the digitization of businesses is helping in streamlining the delivery of services?
Yeah, definitely. The transformation is definitely there. It's not a myth. Look at, say, for example, the cake baking and delivery business. Taking it hypothetically, and I know there are quite a few that have done this. Having a platform maybe on Instagram or Facebook, or even on our web page, where a client can interact with, place an order very easily, and then immediately that pops up on the back end, where the kitchen is notified, and the process can get started. You look at it, we are zooming into how the process works, but if you zoom out and look at the end result, it's that a process that would usually take 24 hours, 48 hours, you're told, place your order 48 hours before your cake is delivered. It's possible to deliver the cake in 6 hours, for example. So if you have an emergency birthday, a cake that you need, you can get it very quickly. And that's just an example on a personal level. At the corporate level, there are things like, expense claims, when someone makes an expense and they need to be reimbursed, most organizations would take 2 weeks, even some as much as a month. How do you reduce that to hours, or maybe 1 or 2 days at maximum? And the thing is, it's very possible, because we've seen it happen. We've seen turnaround times move from 14 days to 2 days, 3 days. And it's not just the efficiency, it's also the stakeholder management. These systems, for example, there's a fuel station. When you fuel there, you pay via M-Pesa or mobile money, Airtel money or whichever. You immediately get a text message saying, "Thank you for fueling with us. Welcome again," etc. You see, that's customer service, and it's a computer talking. So already you're empowering your ecosystem, through very affordable means, not everyone is used to getting that text from every one of their service providers. So if a fuel station is sending me a text thanking me for fueling there, I'll go there
definitely
next time.
Go back.
So such things, it's not just cost and efficiency. It's about customer service, stakeholder management. It's about realizing more possibilities, and even just freeing up more time to they call them hygiene needs. I think it's in one of the motivational theories. There's something called hygiene needs. If you can avoid doing the more things that you're not trained for, like having to look for files physically, get that out of the way, so that you can actually focus on maybe the analysis that you need to do for the claim that has come in. Then you find even the team members are more motivated, because their work is not so dreary. They might not across admin, operations, and everything.
Okay, great. Even as we speak about customer service, it brings the conversation on about trust, and it's evident that most of these online retailers, some people actually, you order something but you don't get it. How then do you ensure you improve the relationship between business to business and even business to customers on these online platforms?
I think it's more around using the right tool for the right job. Yeah? If you think about how social media has evolved,
Yes.
yeah, it was never really built to do certain things that we use it for today. Yeah, so you find that yes, it may work for SMEs. You may start a business off social media, and it works.
Yes.
Yeah, but then there are other aspects which then you will find are left out, and you have to grapple with them. But there are some tools that have been built and different platforms that enable e-commerce in a more safer, if I would call it that,
Yes.
medium, so that you still do more or less the same thing you do when you go to social media, but there's safeguards that have been built into the system that then enable you to make sure that that person delivers.
Yes.
You are able to rate that person when they make the delivery in terms of did they deliver what they did.
Yes.
So you will find that most often that the difficulties that we grapple with is not the right tool essentially
Yes.
for the job that it wasn't is being used for, and so those issues come up. But I think increasingly there are platforms that then are building and trying to put in these safeguards,
Yes.
and consumers will move there, at least especially once bitten. Trisha, you will next time say, okay, I will not buy on this one.
Yeah,
I will buy on this platform because this guy will guarantee me
Okay.
that.
Okay, great. And Victor, do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, definitely. I think with the let's take the example you've used. You place an order on an app, which has happened to me actually about 2 months ago.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm complaining.
Yeah, because it's about time we address the elephant in the room, right? Yeah. You order something, you're told it will be here. It's Friday. You're told it will be delivered on Tuesday. It comes Tuesday, but 2 weeks from now.
Yes.
The challenge it goes back to technology is an enabler of systems and processes. It's not the system and process itself. You need to start with, for example, in that case, and I don't know about your case, but in my case, it was an issue of inventory, right? So you have a situation where the vendor, the store, has promised you that they'll have something by this date, yeah, but they don't have it in inventory. What does that say? It means that their POS system or something is not well tied into their inventory system.
Yes.
So whereas they have the platform, the app, where you can place an order and everything, and they're looking all digital, but there's a problem on the back end. It's not fully digitized. That's why we're saying you need to start with the vision first, yeah? Forget the technology for a start. Where do you want to be? I want to be able to when a client, a customer places an order,
Yes.
I can tell them it's coming 4 days from now, and I actually deliver, right? What do I need to be able to do that? The first thing is I need to have the distribution system. I need to have the items in inventory, right? And all of these things. So that is the vision. Now, what tools can I use to get there, right? Yes, I'll need the app, yes.
Yes.
I need the POS system or something for to pick that up. But I also need to tie this orders platform to my inventory system. So it's actually, the irony is that in such a case, it's actually an issue of digitalization not being done to its hilt, or it's not having followed a vision.
Yes.
Yeah. You are supposed to work with the end in mind and then work backwards. That will inform your systems, because that is definitely a gap in the vision. Yeah.
Great, and even as we wrap up, I'll now throw this question to both of you of how do you envision the landscape of digitization of businesses and government services, for example, in the next 5 years?
I think, let me speak about government because I deal more with government. And I would say that I think in this country there's been lots of progress made in the last few months.
Yes.
I think I see a situation where a lot of services in the next 5 years will be completely digitized. Yeah, because there's goodwill at the top.
Yes.
There's a lot of concerted effort, and partners as us, you can see, for example, Safaricom also pulling in their bit, yeah, to support government, to support enterprises to go in that digital transformation journey. We have the understanding of what it takes, because we have also taken some of these projects internally to digitize our own processes, to to improve service delivery. So I think from a government point of view, I'm very bullish that government will make huge strides in digitizing a lot of the aspects that need to be digitized. Yeah, and because it is multi-sectoral. I mean, you will think about regulatory.
Yes.
Sometimes has always been, and compliance has been a challenge towards achieving that. And if you look at what's happening in the country, there's been a lot of updating of some of the laws that we have to accommodate, you know, like data protection was one of those. And I think now it's becoming clearer and there's a lot of sensitization. So in the government space, I think that will happen quite a lot. I want to see how it will be by the time 5 years is achieved.
Yes.
In different areas, education, healthcare, just normal government service delivery.
Yes.
When I think about businesses, I think there's also a lot of fast-paced activities that are happening. You mentioned something like, if what is happening outside is faster than what's happening inside, then soon you're going to be swept. So with AI, which is happening as we speak,
Yes.
you can imagine in 5 years from now, AI will be the way to do things. So there are more tools coming in. Technology is becoming cheaper.
Yes.
I think it's a question of more of sensitization
Yes.
on the need to do it. The technologies are not as expensive as they used to be. And also importantly is bring in experts to guide you.
Yes.
I would say that to a business leader who's thinking, where do I start? You need an expert to guide you, to at least get you off the ground if you're still down there. And if you have already made some investments and it's not quite working the way you thought it would,
Yes.
you need that kind of guidance. The technology is there. So
It's here for us to embrace
happy
it.
times ahead, yeah.
Yeah, great. Victor, your final take on the future of this digital revolution.
Thanks. I agree a lot with what Isaac has said. The direction is digital. There is risk and opportunity. It's about leveraging the opportunity. Government is doing its bit to create the legal framework, like Isaac has mentioned, to just make all these things possible and streamline, you know, laws and all that. These days, I believe even KRA accepts soft copy documentation and all that. So from an SME standpoint, I would say start. Find somewhere to start. Come up with a vision collectively and find somewhere to start. It could be in your finance, HR department, procurement. Find somewhere where you can get quick gains and make the most of what is available. That would be the parting shot, really. Just find somewhere and get started.